Triassic period. Triassic period, it's 252 million years ago, and the Triassic extinction, the event also called the Great Dying, has just happened, wiping out an estimated 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. It's thought to have been caused by massive, prolonged volcanic eruptions in the Siberian traps in modern-day Russia. These eruptions released enormous amounts of greenhouse gases that triggered climate change around this time. Earth was essentially depleted and had just one single supersea continent called Pangaea. It was mostly composed of desert, with arid conditions, while more coastal regions experienced strong seasonal rains and winds. However, even though the conditions were this harsh, not all forms of life went extinct within the small percentage that survived. We can find some resilient plants like these ones, and most importantly, synapsids, the group that includes mammals and their ancient relatives and aerosaurs. Now, what we really care about is the archosaurs. You see, at that time, there were no real dinosaurs in the proper sense of the word, but rather their predecessors. You could have seen creatures like ichthyosaurs and Proterosuchus. By contrast, mammals still played a marginal role at the time, existing as small and likely nocturnal creatures. The real change, however, happened around 230 million years ago in the southern part of Pangaea, which is now modern-day South America. Here, the first examples of dinosaurs appeared, such as Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus. However, they didn't look like how you might imagine them. They were really small, for example. Eoraptor was about 3.3 feet long, much smaller than a human. However, this wasn't necessarily a disadvantage. Their small stature made them incredibly agile. This was supported by an impressive evolutionary feat. Their legs were positioned directly beneath their bodies, rather than sprawling outwards like contemporary lizards. This allowed them to stand on two legs, giving them much more speed and stamina, both for running away and for chasing. While dinosaurs weren't very diversified at the beginning, they started to diversify as the Triassic period progressed. Theropods, the group of typically two-legged meat-eating dinosaurs that would later include some of the giants we'll talk about later, started to appear sauropodomorphs. The dinosaurs characterized by long necks and large size also began emerging. A first trend of change occurred when Platorus, a long-necked sauropodomorph from Europe that was 10 meters long, began to thrive. It signaled a broader trend toward increasing size and herbivore. In some lineages, however, just as Earth was beginning to repopulate, and these new forms of life were developing, a new catastrophic event occurred around 20 million years ago. The Triassic extinction brought an end to all of this. The leading hypothesis attributes this extinction to massive volcanic activity associated with a huge area of volcanic rock that formed as Pangaea began to rift apart. Once again, these eruptions released vast amounts of greenhouse gases, destabilizing the climate. Most life on Earth was wiped out, about 76% of all species, including most large amphibians, the remaining large synapsids, except the lineage leading to mammals, many marine reptiles, and crucially, the large terrestrial archosaur competitors of the dinosaurs, such as the Rowisuchians. The main survivors were turtles, crocodilians, early mammals, padrosaurs, and most importantly, dinosaurs with their main rivals. Gone, these survivors had a fresh start to take over the world.